What is up, everyone? Welcome to round 3 of the Portland Monthly Premodern Paper Magic Afternoons May 2025 tournament. We got 2 brand new decks to show you, so let's get into those deck lists. First up, we have Wyatt returning to the screen with Red-Green Goblins. You may remember from last month, Wyatt actually ended up taking down the tournament. That was his first time playing Premodern with a deck that I actually loaned him, and he liked it so much he is building it himself, as you can see here. Not all the printings quite match yet, but I'm sure he's working on it. And yeah, it's a very stock Red-Green Goblins list, but that totally makes sense. If you're new to the format, you gotta play something that you know works really well and tinker with it a little bit, and I think that's a totally great way to start things off. So first off, we've got the Goblins. We got Goblin Ringleaders, 4 Goblin War Chiefs, 4 Goblin Matrons, 4 Goblin Lackeys, 4 Goblin Pile Drivers, 3 Siege Gang Commanders, 1 Goblin King, 4 Mog Fanatics, 4 Gem Palm Incinerators, 1 Goblin Tinkerer, 1 Skirk Prospector, and 1 Sharpshooter. The only spells in the main are 2 Naturalize. Again, this is a green splash primarily for the Naturalizes and a few other sideboard pieces. For lands, we got 3 Rishadan Ports, 3 Wastelands, 4 Wooded Foothills, 4 Carplusan Forests, 8 Mountains, and 1 Forest. Sideboard has the 3rd and 4th Naturalize, 3 Pyrokinesis, 1 Anarchy, 1 Hull Breach, 1 Red Elemental Blast, 3 Pyroblast, 3 Tormod's Crypts, and 1 Tranquil Domain. Very strong list. Obviously, Wyatt taking down last month with a very similar list, and very cool to see a new player so invested in the format. But before we see him play, let's see who he's playing against. Next up, we have Matt W with Green-White Terrageddon. This is the slower variant of the Terravor deck. You're obviously not running Oaths in this because you have a lot of other creatures, but you are still doing the same game plan. Lots of land destruction, a little bit of ramp, some mana denial, and removal. The deck does still run the 4 of Terravor because it's just such a good card, but it is also running, like I said, other creature threats in 4 of Nimble Mongoose, threshold being pretty easy to achieve when most of your spells are blowing up lands or you're discarding your own lands. 4 of Weathered Wayfarer, and 1 Sylvan Safekeeper to round out the creature threats. Technically, there is also 3 Call of the Herds. Those do count as creatures, I suppose. As for spells, we have 4 of Sylvan Library, 4 Swords to Plowshares, 2 Naturalize, 1 Disenchant, 3 Armageddons, which is the other namesake of the deck, and I guess we'll count them as spells for Mox Diamonds. This deck doesn't really care about its lands though, and we have a bunch. 4 Wastelands, 2 Gemstone Mines, 1 Carplusan Forest, 2 Risk Grove to go pretty well with the Gemstone Mines, 2 Plains, 3 Forests, 2 Secluded Steppes, 1 Tranquil Thicket, 2 Treetop Village, 4 Windswept Heaths, 1 Court Haven, which is a cool include, and 2 Rishadan Ports. As for the sideboard, we have 2 Warmths, 3 Cataclysms, 1 Ray Revelation, 2 Zern Orbs, and actually a bit of a red splash here with 3 Pyroclasms and 4 Pyroblasts. We did see the Risk Groves to make red. Obviously, Mox Diamond also makes red along with the Gemstone Mines. It is an unexpected splash, I feel like, and maybe one that his opponent may not see coming. Overall, a very cool list. There's definitely some spicy includes here. It's not your traditional green-white Terrageddon list, obviously because it's also running red. But besides that, I think there's some cool includes that we may see post-sideboarding. So without further ado, let's get into the games. And here we are. Wyatt is on the left, Matt is on the right. This should be an interesting matchup as the Goblins deck doesn't really need a ton of mana, but Matt definitely having the opportunity to still take Wyatt off of his mana pretty easily. Those Skirk Prospectors, I guess the one of that Wyatt doesn't have in his main deck, could become relevant if a Armageddon happens, but looks like he's going to mulligan, and we're going to cut to when he has a keepable hand. Okay, Wyatt is mulliganing to 5 here. I'm not sure what his 6 looked like, but probably not enough lands. I do see lands. I see at least a land. I see a 1-drop. Okay, there's 3 lands. This is a keepable hand. Looks like he's going to be putting 2 back, deciding what those 2 are going to be. Actually, does he have mostly lands? Tough to tell. All right, and Matt is going to lead us off. Oh, there's a swords. A little bit of gleaned info. Matt did have an answer to the turn 1 lackey if Wyatt was mulliganing for that. I don't think he was necessarily. The deck does obviously function best with the turn 1 lackey, but it can get by just on its own. And What happened to the fetch land? Did he accidentally shuffle it in, or is his graveyard off camera? We'll watch and see where his graveyard is. Maybe it is off camera. All right, there is a lackey. And Matt not burning the swords just yet. Say go after that. Oh, Matt can actually give this card a read. Interesting choice. All right, Wyatt getting to untap here. And is going to go to combat. That will get swords. Okay, the graveyard is off the battlefield for Matt W. That is unfortunate. Hopefully we get him to move it, as that is an important part to have on screen. And there's a second lackey from Wyatt. Say go. Do you have an answer for the second one? He's got a blocker. I do see a Weathered Wayfarer. Karplusan Forest coming down. There is a Call of the Herd. We're gonna have to be quick with these identification, as again, graveyard not on the battlefield. I do hope Wyatt or somebody says something. I don't think I caught this when it happened in the moment. And a pass back to Wyatt. Does he have an answer to this elephant? We're gonna fetch here. Probably just grab another mountain. No reason to have the forest up yet. Alright, there's a matron. And do we find an incinerator? Kind of depends what he has in hand. Okay, yeah. Gem Palm Incinerator is the get here. To me, that says Wyatt has at least one more goblin in hand. I think he might have a Mog Fanatic. We saw him try and decide if he wanted to mulligan that. I don't think he put it on the bottom, so that's a 1-drop, and then you can cycle the Gem Palm, right? Corehaven. Corehaven, really good against fellow Terravore decks or really big threats like Dreadnought, but not so good against lots of little threats. I mean, he can turn off the Goblin Lackey. All right, getting aggressive here, swinging in for 3. And passing back to Wyatt. Matt not playing out his other elephant token. Okay, there's a Mog Fanatic. Go to combat. Swing with both. Do you activate the Corehaven here? Looks like it. Yep. No Mog Fanatic triggered. You do take 1. Which hopefully will get updated on the dice. And then a Gem Palm on the elephant. Draw off the cycle. Okay, dice not getting updated here either. Unfortunate. But there's a Gemstone Mine for Matt. Did he find another swords? No, Weather Wayfarer. Alright, blocker for the lackey. He can play out the Call of the Herd, flash it back. Unless he really wants to leave up that Corehaven. I don't think it's worth it. No, he is going to pass back. Alright, choosing to play the long game here. Doesn't want his second elephant to potentially get Gem Palmed. And that is a good call, because there's a Gem Palm. And then go to combat. Alright. I think damage did get recognized here. Yep. And there's a Tinkerer. Being put in from the lackey. Alright. On your upkeep, tap down your Corehaven. Matt, missing the lackey trigger here, and unfortunately getting, well, I guess luckily not getting punished for it, with a Tinkerer being the only thing that's worth casting off of the lackey trigger. Alright, a wasteland on the Rashad Port. Past him. Wyatt, who's gonna be swinging in. Fetch here first. The Goblin train is a-rolling. And currently, Matt does not have a way to stop it. He does have a Treetop Village in hand, but that's going to be another turn too slow. The Core Haven is tapped. Alright, how about we find some more goblins? There's a ringleader. What can we find? Alright, we got a Fanatic and Prospector. Not the best hits, but at the very least one of them will be free. The ringleader does have haste. So we're getting in for 2, 4, 6. Trigger on the Lackey. Get the Mog Fanatic in there. And you go. Matt potentially looking at lethal next turn. There's an Armageddon. Not useful here. Your opponent already has all of their threats out. If it has a Cataclysm, maybe, but are we just casting it anyways? Okay, we're gonna Armageddon here. Not a Wrath of God. Everyone loses everything, and this is just lethal now, right? Matt's at 9. He's gonna be taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Once you sack the Mog Fanatics. Yeah, that's Xaxes, and that's gonna be game. We're gonna go game number 2. All right, here we are in game number 2. I do have to wonder if Matt's maybe a little newer to the Premodern format as well, which is totally fine. Maybe not being super familiar with the Goblins deck and how aggressive it can be. I do have to think those Cataclysms are coming in from the sideboard. There's a Disenchant. Disenchant's an interesting one to keep in. That isn't his main. And a Naturalize. I don't think Matt's keeping this hand, probably. No early interaction, really. He does have a Weathered Wayfarer. Oh, we are keeping, actually. Okay, there's a Weathered Wayfarer. And past Wyatt. Unclear what Wyatt has in hand. Looks like a bunch of lands. Does he have a 1-drop? There's a mountain. Say go. Bit of a slower hand. Wyatt also, again, newer to the format. Maybe not super familiar with Wayfarer. Basically only sees play in the green-white Armageddon Terra War list. And that's a second Weathered Wayfarer for Matt there. Debating whether or not to play out a land here. Goblins is not a deck you want to lose tempo to. Okay, we're going to play 1 for the Wayfarer. And I would play out the land here. It's not worth getting an extra land to fall behind on what I think is going to be a dangerous game with Wyatt getting, hopefully, a 2-drop here and really start things rolling. He does have mountains. Oh, we're going to wasteland the Gemstone Mine here. Say go. And now Matt in a bit of trouble here. If he does not have a white source, which it doesn't look like he does, he's got a Karplusan Forest. That is an interesting ad for was primarily a red splash in the sideboard. Pyroclasms actually probably should have been brought in too. I'd have to think he did. I think when I was doing the deck tech, I glossed over those for red sources and thought they were brushlands. All right, there's a pile driver. That is a threat. There's a white source for Matt with a Risk Grove. Both of his creatures are tapped. They did swing in last turn, so he can't activate either of them to go find a land, but he will just make the play here for Risk Grove. Not tapping the forest for mana. Not that there's much Oh, he forgot to untap from his attack last turn, I guess. Okay. We're gonna go find a plains here. Say go. And Wyatt is just looking at that wasteland in hand. And also the fact that his pile driver can now swing in for free. Matt didn't need to do that fetch there. He could have double blocked and then activated it. It's at instant speed. So a little bit of sequencing here. Alright, and then passing to Wyatt. Okay, Wasteland for the Risk Grove. Tap 2 for another pile driver and just swing it in for 1 right now. But next turn, these are going to be 3/3s at a minimum. Alright, and then back to Matt. He's got another Risk Grove. Just going to play a Plains. Going to activate it again here. Again, he can wait to do this to double block one of these pile drivers. Okay, there is a Pyroclasm there on the bottom of the deck, so he did bring those in at least. I didn't see a Cataclysm when he was shuffling through, so maybe he didn't bring those in. I probably would have. Cataclysm obviously very strong with Terravore, as you're able to pick your Terravore. Your opponent, whatever their one creature they're picking, is probably not as good as a Terravore. But that's all Matt can do right now, and it's just going to pass back to Wyatt, who now has 2 pile drivers free to do whatever they want. Both of them buffing each other, swinging in for 6 total. Matt dropping down to 13. And then there is a Matron. Is Matron grabbing a Gem Palm? No, we're grabbing a Sharpshooter. We're going for blood. There's an Armageddon from Matt. I think that's his second. Again, Armageddon against an aggro deck is not necessarily the best. Cataclysm does a very similar thing, but also takes care of all their little 1-drops. Okay, there's a Sylvan Library. Yeah, both of those Weather Wayfarers are untapped. And can now choose to block. Although, maybe a little late at this point. Wyatt actually maybe wishing he had grabbed the Goblin King here. Just to protect his guys from a double block. But no, we're going to play a Ringleader. That's almost just as good, honestly. What do we hit? Siege Gang Commander and another pile driver. All right, and getting in for a boatload. Each of those Siege Gang Commanders getting +6, so 7 7s coming in, or 7 2s. Sorry, a 2/2 and 1/1. And yeah, unfortunately, Matt having to chump block both of the pile drivers. And oh yeah, you nope. A little bit of mix up here. I do think Matt is a newer player, not realizing how Sylvan Library works. It is not part of your hand. You draw 3 technically, but they're separated until you decide to pay life to put them in your hand, or just the one. And Wyatt, thankfully knowing the rules here, can give a little explanation on them. We're pretty casual here, but I think Matt is actually just in trouble. That's 2 lands and a Mox. Not a Pyroclasm, which is honestly what he needed. Also, his lands are untapped. He needed a Pyroclasm. He does have a red source with that Risk Grove in hand. That was basically his one out. I think he's pretty much dead. Unless he has a Pyroclasm in hand, which it doesn't look like. I think he's just dead on board. Okay, we're gonna get a Mox here, put the other two on top of the deck. Yep. I also can't tell if this library is in English or if it's a foreign black border. Actually, I don't see the legend symbol, so it's probably foreign, which would also explain the unfamiliarity with it. Foreign language cards are cool, but you need to know what they do first. Maybe just a bit of nerves from Matt. Again, playing on camera is something that some people do find nerve-wracking. I always just give the advice, just pretend it's not there. Nobody cares. We're here to have fun. But yeah, I think Matt shaking his head, he knows this is over. And awkward fist bumps aside, that is going to be Wyatt taken down in 2. All right. Well, good learning opportunity for Matt. I do want to make sure you guys are being kind in the comments. It's okay to give constructive criticism. I probably should have mentioned this sooner because I'm sure most of you guys who have left nasty comments have already clicked off the video, but we don't need that here. Good gameplay from Wyatt there. Saw the lines, saw the opportunities he had. Keeping Matt off of lands, especially in game 2, was pretty huge. Definitely do not want to lose tempo to a Goblin deck. Thanks to all you guys for watching. If you made it this far, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're not already. It is the best way to support the channel. If you want to support the channel financially, there is a Patreon link in the video description below. You currently see all of our wonderful patrons displayed on screen, as well as the link to the Patreon as well. Money from the Patreon directly goes to support the channel in the form of travel expenses, like when we travel to different states for other tournaments, and also upgrading camera gear to get even better quality videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.